In a post-Roe world, a lot of people who weren't planning on starting a family are becoming more invested in making sure they don't, especially in places where access to abortion is threatened. But in some cases, the healthcare professionals who are supposed to help them are pushing back. Today, we want to welcome Meena Venkataramanan. I'm sorry, I totally mispronounced your name. But Meena, thank you so much for being here. You're from the Washington Post. And Meena, based on your research, more people are interested in tubal sterilization or getting your tubes tied after the Dobbs decision. What are doctors pushing back on here?
Thanks for having me, Maria. Doctors are pushing back on a lot of these patients' young ages in particular. They're asking questions like, are you certain you want to have this procedure? Or do you think you'll change your mind later? And according to the Organization for Obstetricians and Gynecologists, they're supposed to emphasize the permanence of the procedure and discuss other contraceptive options. But a lot of patients report that they're just being doubted and faced with skepticism and sometimes denied the procedure entirely, especially if they're young and don't already have children.
All right, so patients are creating a community to share what's happened to them and to help others. So talk to me about how this is making a difference for people looking for a more permanent form of birth control.
Yeah, so it's not only patients, doctors are also creating communities, but in terms of patient communities, there have been pages on the R Child Free Reddit page, there have been TikTok communities, and all of these are starting online to really spread the word about tubal sterilizations. So I spoke to patients who have created Reddit pages to answer questions after their own sterilizations, as well as doctors such as Dr. Fran Haydenek in New York, who has been creating TikToks on OBGYN related issues, including tubal sterilizations. And she had a viral TikTok that received 4.7 million views around the issue of tubal sterilizations right after the Dobbs decision. And so lots of people will watch these TikToks and they'll go on Twitter and Reddit in order to get their questions answered. And because of that, a list has publicly been circulated by Dr. Haydenek through which patients can contribute doctors that have performed sterilizations on them, regardless of their age or the number of children they have. So it's really made an impact, and the list is continuing to circulate.
And we've seen an increased interest in vasectomies as well. Based on your research, is vasectomy access easier or does it also have roadblocks?
Yes, so I actually started out the reporting process a couple months ago by reporting about the increase in vasectomy requests. And from my knowledge and my reporting on the ease of the procedure, a lot of patients said that vasectomies are much easier to access, that it's just a quick office procedure, it's a fraction of the cost of a tubal sterilization. And even though it's not necessarily covered by insurance because it's not mandated under the Affordable Care Act to be covered, a lot of people just have ease in scheduling the procedure and aren't faced with the same kind of pushback that people who want a tubal sterilization are faced with. So both have really increased, but it seems that tubal sterilizations, according to my reporting, are much more difficult to access and are much costlier and an invasive procedure compared to a vasectomy.
Yes, and Seattle has recently signed legislation making it a sanctuary city for those seeking abortions. But if any of our viewers do want to get their tubes tied and their doctor won't do it, you did touch on some TikToks or information out there, but are there other options available? Can they just kind of ask around in their community?
Definitely asking around, seeing patients who, or meeting patients who have had the procedure successfully. These are all ways to get involved, and doctors are available on a national scale through those patient-created lists and through doctor-created lists through which patients are contributing. And so there's lots of ways to really find these kinds of resources, even in communities that may seem fairly remote or may be smaller.
All right, the Washington Post, Meena Venkataramanan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.